True Train 88. This ain't no ordinary ride. We roll with legacy, love, and fire in our bones. Let's go. Let's go. Boots on the ground, banjo in my hand. True train rolling through this promised land. Chief Mike lit the torch, now sheepdog lead. Matriarch's grace, yeah, that's all we need. Fiddle crying like a spirit in the wind. Bass thumping like the truth setting in. We don't follow trends, we follow the flame. True Train 88, remember the name. True Train 88, rolling through the night, guided by the chief, we're rising to the light. With the matriarch's grace, we stand as one. The power of the sheepdog love, our rising sun. OCO, we gather, hearts open wide. Gadoogie in motion, love as a guide. GVUE, we sing to the sky. Holy hill is deep, joy never dies. Red cardinal flying, wings in the breeze. Banjo strumming like a prayer on his knees. You carry the promise, you carry the flame. In our rising tribe, we call your name. Wide old matriarch, for your sacred way. Your generosity lights our day. Your grace is the fire in our tribal dream. Your love flows strong in every stream. Trail, healing frequencies rise like steam. True Train 88, this ain't no dream. True Train 88, we ride with the flame. True Train 88, we rise in a name.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday night special.
Good evening.
Roaru.
There we go. I just broke one of my headphones. Anyways, it's October 23rd, 123. Glad to have everybody here tonight. Hope everybody's ready to take a stand, or you can stay on your knees. All right.
Yep.
Decision time's coming up. A lot of tests are coming up for the people. Hope everybody's prepared to no longer be tacit. The agendas are still full swing ahead, as you can see. They are not stopping. It does not matter who you voted for left or right. Okay, that's the illusion. You're still in it's the Democrats. If you're still in the blame game of blaming somebody else up outside of yourself, then you're you need to take a look at yourself and see how they're manipulating you, right? Um, to do things that you normally wouldn't agree with because of the person that you could be idol worshiping might not be the good guy. You might want to consider that. So, with that being said, I hope everybody's having an amazing Thursday night. Glad to be here. I got to fix my screen real quick. Everything just shut off. I'll be right back. Go ahead and take over. Y'all got it?
So there's a narrative that says that selfish choices are the best choices you can make. And that this is really counterculture, but it's a mental health approach. I've taken a few hours of psychology courses in my life that I've been teaching a long time. And it's just a perspective, right? So Sheepdog said something in his opening statement here about do you see it? Or are you still stuck in the blame game? And it's very easy to get stuck in that cycle of the blame and depression and loss of hope. So when you're looking at this, it's not a bad thing to say, well, what's the best thing for me in this situation? And the society around us, the way that it's been built up by the media and the music, is that, well, that can't be my fault. It's somebody else's fault. And so look to get away from the guilt and make a selfish decision. It might be the best thing you can do. Does that offend anybody? Because it's a great strategy. Occasionally, it gives you a whole new perspective.
Yeah, it's a great take, Gandalf. I'm not blaming anybody. I think you're blaming people. That's what I think.
Oh, Z just poked the bear.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, and if we don't look inward, you're right. It'll come back to get you.
At least with the panel, I can honestly say that we don't have to worry about the feds coming to get us for faking it and running a bunch of Ponzi schemes over here.
Mike,
Love
that statement sort of works until you go back to a famous quote from J. Edgar Hoover, who was the real king of the FBI, is that if you find me a man, I will find you the crime. That's a direct quote from the Hoover administration.
Well, I think they found 31 plus people already in the NBA, so we'll let them go that route.
How many cycles, Mike Durendal, how many cycles have you heard me say that I think every pro sport is rigged, fake, and gay except for golf?
Well, I will tell you this. My lovely wife started that back in, oh my gosh, at least 10 plus years ago. I still love football, don't get me wrong, but she would be like, would you guys just sit back and watch the game from this perspective and watch the referees change the outcome of the game? I'm like, that is no way happening.
Okay, look, that's part of the thing, Mike. It's the loose deal. It's about
hang on though. One of our sons actually wrote the commissioner a letter about all of that. And he was still in junior high school when he wrote that letter. So, yeah, that was during Brett Favre's game with the Saints that the referees allowed that to happen or manipulated that situation. But it's been going on a long time, and I love football, I love baseball, and most of the panel knows now how much I love softball. So at least out of those three, like Z was saying in the pre-show, at least we know that softball ain't rigged. At least not the game that I play.
Okay, so when I lived in Orlando for many, many years, there's a cigar bar on Sand Lake right off of I-4. It's on the edge of Windermere, and there are a stupid number of professional retired athletes in Windermere. And it's the premier cigar bar. There'd be $2 million worth of cars in there, in the morning. And those guys would sit there in this sequestered area, guy names you would know, and watch professional sports. And I'd hear, because I'd go there, had great Wi-Fi. I'd go there and work, and they had a great bar, and it was a fantastic environment, great energy, and I'd hear them say, "Oh, he got paid for that. Oh, he got paid for that." And Lauren Jean is here. Is Jerome is correct. There's all the side betting that goes on. So when this all splashed out today, I watched about 3 seconds of it and thought, I'm sure we're going to cover this on the show tonight. So I didn't know the number was up to 31, but it's everything, man. It's rampant. The owners get together and decide the seasons. That's the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Part of what they refer to as the simulation. I saw a bunch of stuff on it today. I didn't see the actual thing, but I saw clips afterwards, and it's, I was going through the comments of the clip I was going through, and it was, people were just saying, yeah, but where's the Epstein files?
Yep.
And Bundy's disc.
Right.
And we will never see them.
She said, "What desk?"
Well, Sheepdog, I assume you got a loaded gun over there after being out of circuit for 68 of 72 hours. Do you want to lead with the NBA farce, or KVB 68 here? Did some NBA go down gambling? Yes. Are you going to lead with that one? Are we going to get to that? Up to you.
Are you muted, Sheep?
It doesn't look like he is. Oh, must have a little technical difficulty. He just dropped. I'm sure he'll be right back.
Yeah, I saw him reboot earlier as well. I assume that he'll get it worked out. Here he comes.
There we go. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm glad they got those guys betting on them sports games off the streets. Oh, breathe a sigh of relief. Isn't that a little strange, right? You went after, they were like, man, we need to put something out on the media. What do y'all got? Oh, we got a gambling ring. Chauncey Billups, a couple players. Yeah. Oh, no shit. Oh yeah, tell them it's tied to the mafia.
Yeah.
Well, wait. Has anybody seen the continued reports that Vegas has been, 50% of capacity for months and months? Vegas is dying on the vine. And could that be because the gambling has been uncovered, and this is the real disclosure? That fits the timeline narrative.
Right. Yeah, I've been watching in Vegas. It's pretty dead. I've seen a lot of boots on the ground.
It's funny because in one or two of the reports that I read and heard about is they're doing everything they can to make sure LeBron doesn't get wrapped up in this. There's been numerous reports of saying that they cannot find any evidence that LeBron James is in the middle of, or any part of this. And I've seen his name show up at least a dozen times in two reports. So they're trying to keep his name out of it. Now, why would they go so hard and so deep to try to keep his name, try to keep him clean?
Well, there's layers to that, Durandal. So I was in the electronic medical record business in South Florida for a long time. And I worked with a couple of pain management guys. I stayed away from the bottom feeders and the guys that got in trouble. But there was a really large HGH, human growth hormone and steroids market in South Florida at the time. And I heard from the doctors that those like 5 or 6 years where he never missed a game and was huge, he was absolutely juicing. So I think that's what'll come out first. And then all the rest of it will come ground, because LeBron he's a pivot player in the narrative. How many ways do you think that he's leveraged?
Well, I heard he was a clone.
He is. Simple.
So wait a minute. The skeptic on our panel just said that LeBron is a clone.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
The skeptic. That coming out of the skeptics. That was not on my bingo card today. Durandal says clones are real. I did not have that on my bingo card today.
Yeah, Bill Clinton told us about the cloning back in 96, 97.
I'm still waiting to see somebody that doesn't have a belly button. I haven't met anybody yet. And but before Mike Penny passed, he said he was in a show as his, but I don't think he got around to showing us his.
I think they keep the clones with the clones.
Right? What was that, sheepdog?
I think they keep the clones with the clones. Like the clones work in their own factories, their own.
Well, the clones don't know they're clones.
Right.
The clones are told they're not clones, but everybody else is. Does that sound familiar in the narrative war? Okay, I got a proof for you.
Well, regardless, they're on like pity parties.
Well, that makes me wonder and question the Star Wars episode. What is it? The Attack of the Clones.
The Attack of the Clones. They were an
the Clone
army.
Wars.
They were all the same. And Boba Fett was actually one of those clones.
Yep.
And they did an offshoot series about that.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the Pod People, the Cabbage Patch Kids.
It was Tesla.
Okay, I got an active proof for you on this. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
We haven't lost our minds strictly. I'm going to give you a really good one here. Has anybody here ever watched Hot Ones? The TV show that's about hot questions and hot wings. Have you ever watched that show on YouTube?
Can't say that I have.
Nope.
Oh, I love Hot Ones. My son turned me on to Hot Ones many, many years ago. They're in there. I don't know.
That didn't sound right, Glenn. Again, that didn't sound right.
No, so my son, it's like they have it's 10 progressively hotter wings, and these stars come on, and the clones don't sweat. They don't feel the heat. They don't know how to think.
I do know what you're talking. I've seen clips of this. Okay, so I do know what you're talking about.
Sean Evans, who actually a friend of mine knows the guy. I know this show a long time, man. I actually tried to get John Baxter on Hot Ones for a year and a half. So you can imagine, Mike, you know me well enough that I know this show. And there are some people that come on and the last wing is 2 million Scovilles. 2 million Scovilles. It's called The Last Dab. It's the hottest sauce ever made. And real people sweat. They actually sweat. So they have, 400 episodes or something like that. The people that don't sweat are proof of clones. And they're all Hollywood people or sports people or music people. This is my theory. I have vetted this by watching most of the Hot Ones shows since it started. Anyway, clones. It was a clone rail.
And
Go
I'm
ahead,
still,
sheepdog.
No, I'm just saying. Prince Andrew said he doesn't sweat. You know, the diddler.
The diddler.
I'm still trying to find a depiction of Adam and Eve
That's
that
Prince.
doesn't have a belly button.
Well, Adam and Eve would not have had a belly button because they were a divine physical appointment. They were
Right.
not birthed by canal.
Every depiction I've seen of them, they have belly buttons.
I've never even thought about this.
I've looked.
It's like my friend just came up and said he bought a pet rock, and I can't believe I didn't look at that. So yeah, good call, Z.
That comes from our investigative reporter, Z, on the spot.
Taking notes.
That's why you got to
Okay,
know
so
what the
go ahead,
metaphysical,
Sheepdog. Go ahead.
what an atom is. Everyone knows what an atom is, right? ATOM.
In
An
biology,
atom is the base component in atomic structure, which is the smallest magnetic engaging electric wave in our body and is engaged with our heart function. Atomic structure is the baseline for the periodic table of elements, and each element has its own atomic weight. That is atomic. Or do you want to talk about ADAM?
All right.
All right, Sheepdog, take us where you want to go. You have the helm.
Let's hop into what we're going to have to. Let's take a look at what's coming. How about that? And that way we can better make a decision on where we go from this point. Like I said, I think the COVID was just a trial run for what's coming. We are not out of the woods yet. But hey, at least I got those gamblers off the street. You know,
has been completely captured by the World Economic Forum. You can even look at the 90s, a relatively new article in Vanity Fair that's about Klaus Schwab's history, talks about how in the 90s his wage as chairman of the WEF was directly tied to the wage of the Secretary General of the UN. So there was a connection there from the 90s. Also in the late 90s, you have Kofi Annan, then in charge of the UN at the time, saying, here at the UN, we've undergone, I think he calls it either the quiet revolution or the silent revolution, saying that now basically the UN operates as a public-private partnership. So a lot of people have the misconception that the UN is sort of like just a giant public sector organization, and all the public sectors of the world come together to have an equal seat at the table, right? That's sort of the idea, the idea of the UN that most people have, but that's not the case. And he even says in that speech, Kofi Annan does, that the business of the world, the businesses of the world is the business of the UN. And if you look at the World Health Organization and its funding, it's not just from public sectors. One of its biggest, funders is Bill Gates through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And then you have other sources of income from there as well. And you have ties to big pharma, for example. So, if you look at Bill Gates, for example, and a lot of his, philanthropy, it's not really philanthropy, it's impact investing. He openly talks about, for example, his investments in vaccines generate a larger return on investment than anything he's ever invested in his entire life. So does that sound like philanthropy or altruism to you? No. So, he's looking to make money essentially and looking for control. And he has a very specific agenda that a lot of people have pinpointed that's related to reducing, the size of the global population, among other things. So you have that in the mix, and a lot of pull from, non-public sector actors on the World Health Organization that are influencing directly the policy there. So, and talking about what we were discussing a moment ago with like transhumanism and basically the new eugenics, if you look at what big pharma is getting into now, a lot of it are joint ventures with major Silicon Valley companies. So, if you look at the to create new types of medicines. People like Mike Yeadon, for example, have talked a lot as having sort of an insider view of big pharma, that a lot of the most novel products that they've made and could possibly make are either generics by now or they're already on the market. So they're having an innovation problem, like they're out of products to make money off of.
Right.
So
we
now
need,
they're
we need
looking
long
to Silicon
COVID.
Valley.
We need long COVID. We need myocarditis medications.
They have to make new conditions in order to make new products to take to market, right? And so they had originally gambled a lot of money on the mRNA stuff, but couldn't even get those into human trials previously because of toxicity issues in animal trials. And of course, COVID removed a lot of the past regulatory hurdles they previously couldn't pass. And so what I think is likely to happen with this World Health Organization stuff, if it goes through, is that you're going to further reduce, basically eliminate the ability of national governments to regulate the types of solutions pushed on countries in a future pandemic by the WHO. It could really be anything. It could be mRNA vaccines. It could also be DNA vaccines, which they tried to pitch in early 2020 and didn't really take off. It could be CRISPR types of injections, which is this DNA editing in vivo that has more money behind it than even the mRNA stuff. There's this whole new area of medicine that they've been trying to get off the ground, but people have been really reluctant to buy into it. And that was the case with mRNA stuff before COVID, but now it's been normalized. They've changed the definition of things even to make it qualify as a vaccine, even though it didn't meet the traditional definition of a vaccine because it didn't stop transmission and it didn't provide immunity. Right. Which is what the definition was before. So now they've changed all the words. They want to clamp down on dissent. So you can't say anything the WHO is saying is crap, or you can't point out the conflicts of interest. And if you're looking again at where the direction Big Pharma is going, it's these mergers with Silicon Valley. A great example is GlaxoSmithKline and Google Health's joint venture called Galvani Bioelectronics. The former head of that was the head of Operation Warp Speed, Moncef Slaoui. And again, Operation Warp Speed in the US was run by the military, DARPA, and very shady aspects of the deep state, just to lay that out there.
It all comes back.
Also major roles. Yeah, well, also major roles from Google and some of these other groups as well. But if you look at one of the top advisors, one of the guys running Google Health, he's now in charge of Biden's FDA, Robert Califf. No one's really talked about him at all. And so Galvani Bioelectronics is basically injectable nanotechnology that can manipulate your central nervous system. So that's obviously a brave new world in medicine. But again, there's a lot of money behind that. And there's lots of joint ventures like this, and Silicon Valley is making a major foray into healthcare, and I think they intend to have it stay that way. They're definitely creating the infrastructure and putting a lot of money behind that. I relatively recently, had an article talking about how the mRNA for the Moderna bivalent vaccines is being produced by this company called Resilience, which is basically backed by Big Pharma, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the CIA through In-Q-Tel. And they're throwing tons of money behind this particular company to manufacture mRNA, DNA, and even like making viruses gain of function style, all sorts of stuff for the future. So they are putting a lot of money in the infrastructure to have this stuff pumped out on a regular basis. And I think it would be a mistake to disconnect that from this power grab by the World Health Organization, because the only way they can force this transhumanist stuff or the new eugenics on people is by framing it as healthcare. And that's what they did during COVID. And they showed that they're going to try and mandate that type of stuff, even if it kills you, right? They don't care if it kills you or not, because ultimately they want to lower the global population. And to them, only the strong will survive. So whoever survived the upgrades, will be around. I think concentrating power in that few hands, especially in hands that have, capital so concentrated up there as well, is increasingly problematic. There's obviously the adage that, absolute power absolutely corrupts. And I think that that history does tend to sort of show that. And I think, people, particularly in the United States, don't want a small handful of the richest people in the world controlling and micromanaging their lives. I personally am of the view that they're oligarchs that are interested in king-making markets. I think that's particularly true of someone like David Sachs, who's going to be the crypto AI czar and doesn't have to divest from any of his, investments or other, potential conflicts of interest with some of the firms that he'll be involved in overseeing or deciding regulation on. And when you have that type of power, you can easily king make and pick and choose companies that you want to see win. And so you kind of have to wonder if this is really going to be a free market type of situation, as a lot of people would like it to be, because when you have that type of centralized power sort of deciding who wins and who doesn't, and having only OpenAI and Oracle, for example, in this recent announcement, those are very big companies. They're likely to only get bigger should there be a more decentralized landscape in these industries that are so important to foster competition. Or are we getting close to a quasi monopoly model in certain fields of big tech? And I think that could be potentially problematic and something to look at, especially when you consider that there have been statements made by members of the quote unquote PayPal mafia that free market competition is for losers, and that companies should find a niche and corner that market and essentially build a monopoly or quasi-monopoly. And some of those people have done that in direct collaboration with the national security state, as is the case of Palantir, for example, which was created with CIA and In-Q-Tel's direct involvement, and has very significant CIA connections from its origins to now. So if you're building a quasi-monopoly and you don't like free market competition, and you're going to partner, with the most powerful and unaccountable parts of the state in that way, what does that ultimately mean? And is this, going to be the free market utopia that we're being sold, or, is something else going to happen?
What was your initial reaction to the announcement of the $500 billion that are being invested into American AI infrastructure?
So unfortunately, I wasn't able to pay super close attention to the press conference that involved, of course, Sam Altman and Larry Ellison and Mayoshi Son of SoftBank. But essentially, it's not really surprising to me that there's being a big push into AI infrastructure. And this is something that's really been what I would argue a bipartisan push. That's been going on for some time, starting with really the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence that was led by Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO, who, even though he's a Democratic donor, has been very active in this space and sort of has the same view, propagated by more Republican-leaning big tech figures, that the U.S. needs to outcompete China in AI specifically. And some of the National Security Commission on AI comments and presentations they gave that have since been released through Freedom of Information Act requests essentially suggest that the roadmap to doing so is to impose lots of domestic surveillance and AI-powered surveillance technology on the American public as a way to sort of leapfrog China, because they argue that China has already done that and thus has a much larger user base and data set for all of these different AI technologies. And so in order to outdo them, we must drastically increase our user base of these AI technologies, which includes things they say like, surveillance, as I mentioned earlier, facial recognition, expanding that, expanding e-commerce, reducing in-person shopping, and really, other in-person activities, including healthcare, in-person doctor visits, moving to telemedicine as much as possible. And this was really a big focus of that commission, which was the meeting of the national security state and the big tech industry in the years prior to COVID-19. And a lot of that push into the digital realm was a consequence of a lot of COVID-19 era policies that's helped sort of feed that ambition. But I think with this goal to have an increased investment in AI infrastructure, we're likely to see that develop. And it's not really surprising that you have Larry Ellison of Oracle involved. He's recently had comments about the need for things like digital ID in the United States, which would be sort of a core foundational aspect of this type of wide-reaching AI system, and also said that, basically, I'm paraphrasing here, of course, but invasive AI surveillance systems on citizens will help them be on their best behavior, which is a rather Orwellian thing to say, and sort of very much feeds into the idea of the panopticon, where if someone is always being watched, the panopticon, is used in the context of surveillance a lot, but it was originally a model for a prison. Where prisoners are always being, or under the impression they're always being watched, but they can't directly see the people watching them, and that this sort of induces obedience to be on their best behavior at all times. And I, personally view that as kind of a very big and not necessarily positive trade-off between liberty and at least perceived security. And I think people would do well to sort of interrogate some of the consequences of handing such a big AI infrastructure project to companies that are run by individuals with those views in particular.
There's two things I want to drill into. I've heard you say panopticon before, but I actually don't know what that means. What does that mean?
So as far as I'm aware, it was originally a design for a prison, as I mentioned a second ago. I believe it originated in Britain, and basically the idea was to sort of have a somewhat circular prison with the cells on the border, and there's a long, sort of obelisk-esque tower in the middle where the guards are, and the windows are either tinted or constructed in such a way that the prisoners can't see the guards watching them, but the impression is created that they are always under watch so as to induce obedience, because they could be being looked at all the time, but they don't really know. So as far as I'm aware, that's the origin of the term.
Okay, it's a stand-in for eternal surveillance.
Yeah, but as I said, originally it was a prison thing, but since then it's sort of been adapted to sort of refer to the same idea when applied to mass surveillance in the digital era. Because obviously, when this was developed, I forget if it was like the 18th or 19th century. Obviously, digital technology as it exists today wasn't around back then, but I think the idea persists and can arguably be scaled to really to levels that the original designers of the panopticon concept probably couldn't even fathom back at the time.
Stay with us. The next video will give you even more insight and perspective you
Yeah, so we brought that. We were talking about the data centers and the fracking today, right? So that's where we're headed. There's nothing, you're not going to stop that. The telehealth, right? No more doctor's visits. They're just going to, I mean, that's pretty much what they do anyway. You drive all the way into the doctor's office just so they can write your prescription, right? That's pretty much the basics. There's maybe check your blood pressure and your weight, heart, basic.
They started that telehealth during COVID.
So they're going to tell you your,
Yeah. With wearables.
The telehealth thing.
Talk about wearables.
yeah.
The telehealth thing is about billing. Okay, there's C codes that line up with every single thing that happens in a doctor's office. So when you walk to a desk and talk to a receptionist, that's a CPT code. When you so what has to happen for telehealth to fit into the billing model, because 80% of a standard doctor's practice, the street guys, the local physicians, 80% of their billing every single month is Medicare and Medicaid. So you have to comply with the government healthcare system. And telehealth has to be designed, or telehealth is designed as a backup to for some reason I can't get to the doctor's office. And they stopped COVID. Well, maybe there's a new emergency, but there has to be a health emergency that keeps people from coming into the doctor's office for telehealth to be billed the same way. So there's a whole bunch of companies that have sprung up that have doctors that are basically like their DoorDash for medicine. They sit at home and they just watch their phone. I know doctors that do this, like up to today, all the way through COVID. This entire part of the industry flourished. And there's a thing that I don't know if Sheepdog's seen this or not. I assume it's happening right now, where there's a bunch of people that are turning to the new health AI things you can put on your phone as an app. So you can ask a computer, who might or might not be more reliable than the doctor, about what to do about your health. We have a completely different thing of health thing here, but my point is that the telehealth thing requires a national emergency. Otherwise, the billing index changes and they have to bring patients back to the office. I'm interested to see how many people just say, well, screw it, I'm just not going to go anymore. That's the right answer.
Yeah, that's interesting, Gandalf, and watching corporate Earth go away. makes me look at all these individual, like the healthcare system, and every system, all the churches, all of the, they're all corporations. So just watching corporate Earth go away and watching all this other stuff being thrown to the forefront of everyday news narratives, it's quite a movie.
Right. Yeah, I think that'll wake some people up. I don't think most people are going to want to go into the telehealth. What's the point? They're going to realize how retarded that shit is. I hope.
Yeah, well, Gandalf is talking about it's the availability factor. I mean, it's easy for people to do. They don't have to go through the hoops, go find a parking place, whatever, whatever their bag is. If they don't want to go to the doctor's office, now they don't have to. But yeah, it's still billed all through Medicare and Medicare. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
We found out last week that a lot of doctors' offices are stopping telehealth visits and demanding patients come back into the office. That happened to us personally over the last week with some doctor's appointments that used to do it every 6 months or every 8 months through a telehealth visit, but now the wording at the doctor's office is the management has decided to no longer do telehealth, and they're demanding all the patients come back into the office. So that is started within the last 2 to 3 weeks.
And all of corporate Earth, and all through COVID, as we were going through all that, and a lot of people that I know were working from home, and so that's what their job would be, to sit at home and listen to people on the telephone or work through their computer, or do all that stuff. But now they're being required to actually go into work for whatever, at least 2 days a week.
Yep. And to go hand in hand with that, with what I do for a living, a lot of companies are no longer, or they're moving away from remote employees, going to a hybrid role that you can work from home 2 days a week, but you now have to be in the office 3 days a week. So something within the last 3 to 4 months has changed between doctors' offices and corporation businesses, that since COVID were allowing people to work remotely. Something has changed within the environment and within the whole schema, that they're now making people come back to the office and back to the doctor's office. So just be aware and watch what happens, because so something is coming.
Yeah, and the interesting thing to me about this whole corporate Earth going away is that, of course, Washington D.C., the United States is a corporation, there is no Washington D.C. anymore. You can look on any map; it doesn't say D.C. anymore; it just says Washington. But every state is a corporation. Every county is a corporation. Every city and township is a corporation, all the way down to you and me. We're both corporations from the day we were born on our birth certificate. So the corporate Earth going away, that covers a lot of ground.
That it does. You got something else for our sheepdog?
Hold on one second. Thought I was already sharing screen. All right, here we go. Buckle up, buttercup, baby. Don't you let me down.
Mess me around.
There you go.
Dabu 7, we got this memo that's been unearthed showing the Trump administration is preparing to mobilize National Guard troops across the country and to have them ready by April of 2026. This is raising a lot of eyebrows. People are saying, what are they expecting? They say this is to stop potential uprisings like the No Kings protest, which wasn't nothing like BLM, and seemed like most of those people were packed up and out of there by dark. The ICE protest really catching a lot of the action here, and they're focused on that as well. But they won this lawsuit because at first they said that they couldn't send troops up into Portland, but now the Ninth Circuit allowing President Trump to deploy Oregon National Guard troops to Portland, and they said that he lawfully exercised his authority. Now, in a separate case, this is all going down around Chicago, and they're rolling out this plan here to combat all the chaos and the protests, and it seems like they're expecting something massive to happen here. We've got people that are in the military saying that this is not normal. Their exact words are, they have never seen an order like this before, ever. And that they hope it's just to be used as a precautionary measure, but not really actually rolled out in a real scenario. Well, I'm here to tell you, they're going to use this in a real scenario. What they're saying here is that these units of up to 500 troops per little unit will be trained to fully deploy within 24 hours in case some kind of a riot or something breaks loose. They say that the states will have to train and equip these groups and have them ready to go by April 2026, and that they're required in all 53 states and territories. So these groups are going to train for civil disturbances, and they're going to deploy approximately 25% of their force within 8 hours, 50% of the force within 12 hours, and a full response within 24 hours. So these units are going to be spread across the country. They're going to be called upon whenever he so chooses to send wherever he wants. Again, the National Guard troops can be used by Trump in this manner, but if a state uses the troops first, up to this point, they had the call. But now with this whole new memo being pushed out here with this National Guard response force, things are shifting. This is a slippery slope. Join me for the live stream. Going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Talking.
Hey, Sheepdog, I'm glad you just showed that. A guy that I work with just got activated. He's an Air National Guard reservist, and they just activated him. And what he's being told, it's because of the government shutdown that these reserve units are now being initiated and activated. So this is already started. This isn't going to happen in April. This is happening right now.
So can I pile on that, Mike? So this whole thing that happened with the payment of the military, that this is a proof that a possible proof, in my opinion, that the financial system is changing, because the people in the military, there's a selective engagement going on. I think it started with all those generals and their staffs that came together, where they're cutting jobs and reinforcing separate departments, so that the out of nowhere cash that happened to pay the military, because all these movements are they're under National Guard engagement, which makes their payment cycle pretty specific. And I agree with you, Mike, Durandal. This is happening right now based on what I'm hearing as well.
Hell, I thought they couldn't afford to pay anybody. Now they got money to send. Lord, that's crazy.
Just more lies.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. everything isn't always as it seems. There's nothing to fear. Just because you hear that, that's fear, folks.
And on the corporation side, there's another big movement within IT, and I'm not gonna tell you the name of the corporation, but we have a family member that was working for a fairly large international corporation that just offshored all of their IT department to India. 80 plus people were let go or told that February 28th would be their last day, but they are now to train this offshore company out of India to do their jobs. So something is happening in the world that all of these changes are coming, and they're coming very, very fast.
This has to do with the tariff deals that just happened recently as well, because digital labor is a tariffable commodity.
So you're right on point with the videos.
As the future of energy by Amazon. These are renderings of a new nuclear facility coming to Richland. Amazon, along with X Energy, are building a small nuclear reactor, or SMR, to power their AI and computing services. To learn more about these reactors, nuclear engineer Nick Tehran is joining us now. Thanks for being here, Nick.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Can you explain what a small modular reactor is?
Sure. It's a reactor that is quite a bit smaller than a traditional reactor that we have in operation. So it might be a tenth the size. A big reactor today will power maybe 1 million homes, and a small modular will be sort of 100,000 homes and less. The modular part means instead of bringing a bunch of people to the site and sort of hand building each part of the plant when it's under construction, you actually can bring at least big chunks or even the whole plant in as a unit that may be more produced in a factory, brought in a very controlled environment, and then brought in and sort of installed and turned on. That's intended to help improve construction performance of nuclear power plants.
How do these reactors compare to nuclear reactors of the past?
Well, it's interesting because in the really old past, in the 50s and 60s, we've been...
It's the dog park. The old cone of shame, right?
It's called all kinds of crazy reactors, including early versions of the types of reactors that we're kind of coming back around to. So there's sort of a back to the future sense of what's happening in nuclear right now. But really, most of the reactors we have running today use water as a coolant. So you split atoms, it makes the fuel hot, and we pump a coolant that's just water past them to carry that heat away and generate electricity by running steam through a turbine. Now, the types of reactors that Amazon and X Energy want to build, instead of using water, they use a high pressure gas coolant, which is just helium gas. So that allows the reactor to go to a much higher temperature, and that enables better conversion of heat to electricity, and there's some safety implications as well. So in some kind of severe accident, an unlikely but pretty challenging accident, this type of reactor can survive without melting the fuel in a much more challenging environment.
Well, speaking of safety, we know that's probably a big topic of conversation right now. What are the risks for building and operating an SMR?
Well, most of these, this type of reactor uses a very special type of fuel, which we call TRISO fuel. It's very robust fuel. It's very challenging to get the radioactive particles to come out of that fuel. So the real risks are not so much in safety. The risks are in operations and maintenance and performance. Like this type of reactor, the earlier versions of it were never economical. We couldn't get it to run very well, even though they were very safe. There was one similar in Colorado called Fort St. Vrain, and there was a great headline in about 1988 that said world's safest reactor shutting down because it never runs. So really the biggest risk is like operational and project management related based on just running it. There's very little actual safety risk from this type of reactor.
Well, are there many small modular reactors around the world?
Well, arguably, the Navy reactors that are powering the submarines and aircraft carriers are very similar in concept to small modular reactors. So some people call those small modular reactors, even though they're military and they are a different design from what is being proposed now. But at least they're kind of a pretty similar thing to what we're trying to do now in terms of overall size and kind of the safety performance. So there aren't really too many operational. There's one, like China has just turned on what they're calling the first generation 4 small modular reactor, which is actually quite similar to what Amazon and X Energy are working on, but it's still kind of in the shakedown period. So there's a handful, but not too many real commercial SMRs.
So you're saying this is the real deal?
Yeah. This is, I mean, what they're planning with 12 of them going up would be really the biggest installation of modern SMRs in the world.
Well, do you think more SMRs are in our future as tech companies demand more energy to power and compute the AI arms race?
It's there's a race right now in the nuclear industry. The SMR people are rushing to build and prototype their reactors and prove that they actually can work as well as they claim they can work. Meanwhile, there's sort of the tried and true, fully developed, fully optimized traditional large light water reactor folks, and they are now all of a sudden getting new weight under them because we know they work. We already have licenses for them, and so there's sort of an argument that like maybe we should build those now while we're still polishing up and making sure that the newer ones actually run well. So there's sort of a neck and neck race right now. So I think we'll see more of both, and then whichever one ends up being most economical and safest in the end is the one that'll really take off and power the really surprising amount of AI energy demand that we're seeing.
Definitely a race indeed to watch. Thank you, Nick, for your time.
So Amazon is going to start using helium, and they're going to have to compete with NASA as a top budget item.
So you don't need a lot of it. It's super compressed. There is a thing called plasma gasification, which is a technology that was released to market by GE in 1956. It's a component breakdown plasma jet that can be created by 3 specific engine sets, and it sits in a funnel set. It's like it's like a still. It's sort of like making moonshine out of rice. And if you put liquid cooled helium into the top of it, then it absolutely will create a top burning device. So that flies in the face of what they're talking about with nuclear plants. So small engagement nuclear still runs a turbine. That's very true. And I know people in this business. I've worked in this business a long time, and I've been asking them about these power requirement sets. So here's what's happening. That power engagement interface, what we're calling a suitcase nuke that can power this Amazon center, they're not going to give that energy to anybody in the area. It's not going to interface with the local grid. It's going to be a primary 2-node implementation of power source, power receiver in that 2 million square foot data center that is there, and that's probably about right, is going to suck all that energy up. So they're not going to get to the grid, so they don't have to engage with EPA guidelines. All of the qualifications for the 65 million reasons you have to pay to build a nuclear facility, and it takes 10 years. That means they can cut their production time from first ground break to first ohm of energy that comes out of the data center power engagement to about 2 years. And that's about how long it takes to build 2 million square feet of data center. So these power engagement sources are not being built to help lower the power cost for the citizens of that community. They will not engage with the grid. Otherwise, they would take 5 times the length to build because of the requirements by the EPA. And that's data that I have from guys that are building these things right now.
Axios Atlanta, Georgia electricity costs will rise amid data center boom. There are 5 major data center projects that are going to happen in Georgia. For example, Project Excalibur is a large-scale data center campus expected to cost over $1 billion and include up to 16 buildings. How about Atlanta East, a hyperscale data center campus in Rockdale County that will have over 1 million square feet of space at full build-out? Georgia has been slipping you with the cost to pay more for your electric bill so that it can set up the infrastructure for these data centers. But here's what Georgia Power doesn't want you to know, that right now there is an election happening for the Public Service Commission in Georgia. The Public Service Commission determines the cost of electricity and gas for all Georgians. So no matter where you are in Georgia, you have a direct say in what your electricity bill should be. Make sure you come out to vote for Public Service Commission. Early voting has already started, but the voting day will be on November 4th. Make sure you make a plan to go vote and click the link in my bio to learn more about the campaign.
Guess we're gonna vote for cheaper light bills. All right, so we have a new AI data center is coming to the epicenter of America's fracking boom. All right, so they need the water to cool the data centers.
Yeah, because the quantum computers have to be like freezing cold or they'll blow.
Yeah, so that's just the video I just showed you right here about this article. So Poolside is joining with the cloud infrastructure provider on a plan to build a data center on more than 500 acres of land that sits on a sprawling ranch, West Texas. The site is owned by Mitchell family, which has run oil and gas companies for decades in the state and is located in the heart of the fracking boom. Drill, baby, drill. Does it make sense now? What that was about?
Can I comment on this, sheepdog?
Yeah, the drill, baby.
So there's a question that we have over here about where is the energy. And right here from Linda. So what my research, and I've done thousands of hours of research on this, is that the free energy was based on the buildings, and a lot of those buildings were destroyed during the Civil War. But the real conduit for the free energy system in our nation, in the Americas, is the water system. So the Q has always said, watch the water. And I don't know if this is the right reference or not. I've never understood that reference, what it really is, because there's so much water. We are water, 80%. So my point is that free energy can't come back until the waterways are restored, because they are the conduit engagement for the frequency as a stored energy. So the real battery is water. And you receive that, your energy, at a scalar level, a frequency level. That's why 5G is in the system. So the free energy can't get here until we reestablish the waterways, which includes the destruction of a couple of very large dam systems.
A lot of very large dam systems.
On the positive side of this rail, in the last 4 years, there have been 2,000, as of last month, 2,350 something local dams that have been removed around our nation. And the weather warfare has also destroyed about another 600. So there is an opportunity for us to reestablish the waterways so that free energy would be available as it was during previous times. That's a great question.
Yeah, and going along with the dams being eliminated, I didn't know there was that many. So, but what is hiding underneath the water of these dams that are dammed up in specific places? And when a dam goes down, it seems to reveal a lot of what was there prior and what they wanted to bury with water.
So the last thing that Kennedy did before he went to Dallas and got shot was commission the second of 2 dams in the Ozarks of Arkansas. And these are 30-mile lakes, and there are as many as 5 towns that are buried below each one of those 2 lakes. And my family is from this region for hundreds of years, and I can tell you from family stories that there were free energy devices in those valleys. So the Civil War destroyed a bunch of the primary facilities in major cities, and the roads and works projects that came in starting 150 years ago in the sequestration of land by national parks. You know, we can't even access 45% of the nation by square miles. So you're right on point, Z. Hiding it, you know, what's the old phrase? Out of sight, out of mind. So hiding it is huge. This technology is still all around us. It just doesn't work with 5G covering our entire realm.
Focus of our fight to defeat inflation is rapidly reducing the cost of energy. The previous administration cut the number of new oil and gas leases by 95%, slowed pipeline construction to a halt, and closed more than 100 power plants. We are opening up many of those power plants right now.
So this is the drill, baby, drill speech, right? Oil and gas pledges for 2025, right? Everybody knows the drill, baby, drill.
I wish something would start happening. We're still at $3.60 a gallon here in the Phoenix metropolitan area.
I paid $2.69 for 84 grade gas yesterday, and diesel is as low as $3.09, lowest I've seen in quite some time.
Let me see right here. So Poolside and CoreWeave aim to take advantage of natural gas produced in the Permian Basin, the epicenter of the U.S. drilling activity. They are betting that the proximity to natural gas resources could reduce costs and improve the long-term viability of the data center, as many planned facilities across the U.S. have been built without power generation capabilities. The project called Horizon represents a new model for building and financing AI-related computing expansions in the near term. Poolside will gain access to a cluster of Nevada AI computing resources provided by the CoreWeave beginning in December. It plans to work with the company longer term on the broader build out of a data center with 2 gigawatts. 1.2 gigawatts. It's like Back to the Future. Isn't that what he said in that clip? Did he refer to Back to the Future in the clip that we played earlier?
I think it was 2.1
so
gigawatts.
2 gigawatts computing firepower, electric generation capacity of the Hoover Dam. Right.
According to Marty McFly, it's the argument. And yes, that's a Parkinson's joke.
So they're building nuclear reactors, right? I thought we just bombed Iran for trying to build a nuclear reactor. Or is it a different kind of reactor or what? That Iran was building?
Yes, it is a different type of reactor because it works on a different control medium. So if I'm looking at my plutonium rating index in the periodic table, but what that guy said in that clip that you showed was that their fuel source was working with a more depleted component. So that it's like saying, you know, diesel has a different flash point than 84 grade petrol, which has a different flash point than 87 or 94, depending on the pump that you're at. So they all have different flash points. Well, the depleted uranium product that is being used in these private Endeavor nuclear plants, because I asked this question a couple of weeks ago. I was privy to an engineering meeting around one of these private facilities that's happening. I'm attempting to actually go back to work. So I got right into a meeting that these are different fuel sources. So that's why they're using liquefied helium in a plasma accelerating engine set to fire the depleted uranium, because the amount of combustibility, like diesel, is combustible at a different frequency index from the heat engagement. So they need a hotter fire to get the most out of the depleted fuel, because the enriched fuel falls under the nuclear treaty.
So we have Poolside in the midst of a $2 billion fundraising round that would value the company at $14 billion. According to people familiar with the matter, it raised about $500 million about a year ago, and at a $3 billion valuation. The coding-focused startup, which counts chip giant NVIDIA among its investors, is one of the several technology companies and incumbents seeking to build AI systems with human-like intelligence. Man, then you look at their logo. Do y'all see anything wrong going on here, or is it just me? No, we don't see that. So is this the good guys right here with this? Are we established that yet, or
Hell no.
is this just you saving humanity? Is this what all the movies were warning us about?
It sure looks like the control mechanism to me.
1984.
That's the Eye of Horus.
Yep.
Okay, I'll do this. That's the Eye of Horus. That is a mockery of the Emmaus Christian fish, which was a secret code in the eradication of Christianity as an attempt. That is there's one other thing that looks like a couple of stadiums from the top. I can think of two stadiums that look like that from the air. And that also looks like a specific type of a capacitor on a circuit board. And the tail is the engagement. So, yeah, that's a bunch of shit, Z. That little tail right here. So this is like a loop capacitor that is encased in metal, and when the magic smoke escapes from them, the computer stops working.
So a new analysis by McKinsey and Company projects a massive 3.5-fold increase in the global demand for AI-specific data center capacity by 2030. Yay, Agenda 2030. Potentially creating a multi-trillion-dollar market opportunity for chip maker NVIDIA. Forecast that the power demand for AI workloads will surge from 44 gigawatts in 2025 to 156 gigawatts by the end of the decade. So by 2030, it's going to 4, 8, 12, triple, 16, yeah, quadruple. Titled Scaling Bigger, Faster, Cheaper Data Centers with Smarter Designs provides the foundation for these bullish projects. So it shows total data center capacity non-AI workloads going from 82 gigawatts in 2025 to 219 gigawatts by 2030. Overall, McKinsey anticipates that capital spending on data center infrastructure, excluding the IT hardware itself, will surpass $1.7 trillion by 2030. whereas the only considered the AI workload has and from 44 gigawatts to 156 from 2025 to 2030. The expansion is don't you like how they put the ads right there in the middle? So this expansion is overwhelmingly driven by the proliferation of artificial intelligence, which is expected to account for about 75% of total data center capacity by 2030. Why is everything? Why are they on? It's like they're trying to. There's a race to 2030. Is it at the marker? They weren't bullshitting. They were right on.
I think that's one of the lines in the which project is that? It's the one that keeps resetting our realm. Is it Looking Glass? Is that the right project? In conjunction with CERN, they keep pulsing us and kicking us back. In 2030 is the date the remote viewers saw that after that, it doesn't matter. You can't reset it. The new age will dawn, the age of Aquarius, if they don't screw us into a time loop. I think that's the most rational example that I've heard of all the conspiracy theories around 2030.
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
It's going to be the age of the AI Aquarius, if you so choose. So this growth is at the heart of a comment by Nvidia CEO and co-founder Jensen Huang's comment from March to CNBC, where he said every gigawatt of data center is about $40 billion to $50 billion. Every gigawatt is $40 billion to $50 billion. Doing 200 gigawatts. So it's going to be a hell of a market. The AI investor translated the gigawatt demand into staggering $6.2 trillion market opportunity for NVIDIA. That's good. They'll be able to buy another summer home in Florida. So this figure comes from multiplying 156 gigawatt capacity by 2030 with the $40 billion figure stated by Huang. Even if that estimate is twice as high as reality, the Post notes that the opportunity would still stand at a formidable $3.1 trillion. However, this report cautions that this rapid expansion faces significant hurdles, right? They're in a race, like the race to the moon, but they're in a race with it for AI when they're racing China. Not racing China. China's already ahead of us. Key challenges include securing adequate power for these energy-hungry facilities, overcoming supply chain bottlenecks for critical equipment, and navigating shortages of skilled labor required for construction. At Wall Street. So the central question as posed by the AI investor is whether the market is too bearish or NVIDIA's future, even given the underlying demand for AI infrastructure, appears to be vastly outpacing current expectations. So were they talking about, when they were talking about free energy, were they talking about free energy for the corporation and the AI data centers, or because that's what the nuclear site's for, ain't it? For just to produce free energy for the data. But I don't know how that's going to impact the grid if there's ever comes a moment where they have to cut our power off to make sure that shit stays on. That could be an issue. Blackout.
According to the Matrix, The only reason we come to power is to turn off the AI.
Yeah, did you know Grok is the clown? He's the king of clowns. Isn't that the guy on X that everyone asks questions to? Grok?
I found the first version of it in 1872. So I love this.
Yeah, I just found this earlier today. I was looking up circus stuff because I feel like I'm in a carnival. And then I came across Grok the Clown. He's the king of clowns. Circus Performance, 1950. I'll share this out, but it brings me to, Elon Musk, right? He's trying to build a center in Memphis. So we went to the town that Elon Musk is poisoning, according to the More Perfect Union, here with the centers.
Perhaps the most shocking corporate misconduct is hidden in plain sight, invisible.
Here, we'll swallow our world if we don't stop it right here, right now.
Looking back, there was an early clue that the world's richest man was up to something here.
It's just like, why is Elon Musk coming to Memphis?
The people of Memphis soon found out.
Now Elon Musk is coming to Memphis to build the world's largest supercomputer.
A year later,
We here because we mean
people here want answers.
To protect our lungs and not once have to went to XAI to see that they had 35 gas turbines operating and polluting our air.
We went to Memphis and found an environmental crime scene. Musk's data center burning enough methane to power a small city with no permits and no pollution controls.
I have not seen anything like this. We believe they've already violated the Clean Air Act.
As Musk helps dismantle the very federal agency that's supposed to protect us against pollution like this.
There is no way to miss how this is a coordinated strategy.
What does Memphis reveal about the future Elon Musk wants for us all?
So the mission of XAI and Grok is to understand the universe.
In 2023, Musk founded XAI to produce and sell artificial intelligence.
We want to understand the nature of the universe so we can figure out where are the aliens, what's the meaning of life, how does the universe end.
Its main product is Grok, an AI chatbot that he's incorporated into Twitter, or X. Musk was entering the race to dominate the AI market, but he was arriving late, years after competitors like OpenAI and Google had begun training their AI systems. So in Musk's mind, he had to move fast.
We went to the data center providers and said how long would it take to have 100,000 GPUs operating coherently in a single location, and we got time frames from 18 to 24 months. So we're like, well, 18 to 24 months, that means losing is a certainty. So the only option was to do it ourselves.
Been waiting for this moment. I am pleased to announce that XAI's Gigafactory of Compute, the world's largest supercomputer, is to be located in Memphis, Tennessee.
Musk dubbed the project Colossus, after a movie about a supercomputer that becomes sentient and assumes total control of the world.
And so, my fellow human beings, we all directly and indirectly live in the shade, but not the shadow of Colossus.
When you think about the computational power that it will take to put humans on the surface of Mars, that's going to come from the Gigafactory of Compute that calls Memphis home. We were told that by the company. And so it required speed and power.
It's announced as a done deal.
Keyshawn Pearson grew up in South Memphis.
A billionaire and his organization is coming to our city, and we're just finding out after the land has been purchased, after the project has been approved by certain officials, right, who did know.
This is huge. This puts the word out there that Memphis understands operating at the speed of business.
As a community, we're trying to reach out to people and understand what is XAI. He built it without us even knowing that it was being built.
We had to watch this over X or Twitter. Brent Mayo, Elon Musk would tweet often about where they were in the progress, how fast things were moving.
To train an AI system, a data center requires an enormous amount of electricity. The question was, where would the power come from?
Most companies, when they come to the city of Memphis, they plug into our power grid. That's what you think would happen. Why would this be any different? Unfortunately, we learned because it is a billionaire's corporation, it would be a lot different.
XAI made a deal with the local electric company for 150 megawatts of power and agreed to build a new substation to help meet that demand. But Musk's ambitious plans suggested he would need much more power than that, and fast. Soon, people started to notice some unusual structures outside the facility.
I drove out there, and the first thing I did was hear the turbines. You can smell it as well. Such a disturbingly unique smell.
From the road, Keyshawn and others could see a row of machines that are typically only used for remote or emergency operations. Mobile gas turbines.
I have never seen portable turbines used like this.
Patrick Anderson works on air quality cases for the Southern Environmental Law Center.
We know that these kinds of generators require air permits. And so right off the bat, we started filing records requests with the local Shelby County Health Department. Do you have an air permit application from XAI? And they came back and basically said, no, we have nothing to hand over. We also filed records requests with EPA to see what they had. They also did not have details on what is on the ground out there. Nobody from the regulatory side, the health department, the city, EPA, has told the public or us really one iota of what's actually operating out there.
To figure that out, Patrick and his team hired a photographer to capture the data center from above. The images revealed far more turbines than anyone knew about. 35.
I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely stunned. How do we not know about this?
According to XAI leadership, the turbines are not being used and are not connected.
Under pressure, XAI claimed it was using less than half of those turbines.
I've talked to the XAI leadership team. There are 35, but there are only 15 that are on. The other ones are stored on the site.
Well, first off, these are expensive. There's a turbine shortage nationally. You don't obtain these turbines and put them on site if you're not intending to operate them.
So Patrick and his team sent the photographer back out with a high-end thermal camera.
What we saw is 33 of the 35 were very clearly operating.
The turbines were capable of generating about 420 megawatts of electricity, enough to power around 300,000 homes.
They've built a power plant out there. And they've done it overnight, no air pollution controls, quick and dirty, no permit.
I mean, what you've done with the cluster in Memphis is incredible. Just in a handful of weeks.
Any given thing can be sped up.
Yeah.
Like whatever the speed is being done, it can be done faster.
This is the largest AI cluster in the world. This place is absolutely amazing.
That is like superhuman. I mean, on singular. Building a massive factory in the short time that was done, there's only one person in the world who could do that.
And this entire supercomputer is built to power rocks.
We were given a tour at XAI, looking at the facility. Very impressive, very exciting for Memphis. Their commitment to the community is remarkable.
It's unique in my experience.
Joseph Goffman has worked on air pollution issues for decades. Until January, he ran the EPA office that regulates air quality.
Most companies that I've dealt with go to great lengths and spend a lot of money to make sure that the day they turn on their operations, they're also turning on their pollution control equipment. That's a given. For a company to do this, it's treating the people who live there as if they don't count.
I like to open my windows early in the morning to breathe the fresh air, God's given air, not the air that man want to give us, but God.
Eastern Knox lives just over a mile from XAI.
I really wasn't getting the fresh air. I was getting that pollution that was mixed in with everything.
You know how you light your stove and that gas seeps with the little ticking noise? That's what it smelled like.
Alexis Humphreys grew up here, one street away from Eastern.
When I smelled it the first time, I was asleep. And it woke me up because I thought gas was seeping in the house, but couldn't find out. We come outside, and all the neighbors was outside trying to figure out what's going on.
He was an ordinary dad, full of joy, full of jokes.
Last year, Alexis lost her grandfather, who struggled with a respiratory illness called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD.
COPD is a breathing condition, but you don't get it unless you smoke cigarettes. And my granddad didn't smoke cigarettes, but every 3 weeks or so, my granddad was going to the hospital. He would have to get breathing treatments. I have asthma, bronchitis. My mom have just bronchitis, and now my granny has it.
You can't hardly breathe. It's just like your whole world is collapsing down on you. And it's frightening.
Easter and her husband have also developed COPD. What does it feel like?
Feel like you're fixing to die.
The area around XAI leads the state in emergency department visits for asthma. Memphis has one of the highest rates of toxic air releases of any American city, and many of its most polluting facilities are in this neighborhood.
Elon, what he did with Memphis is objectively somewhat dirty, but he's also doing it in an area where there's like a bigger natural gas plant right next door and like a wastewater treatment and a garbage dump nearby, right? And he's obviously made the world a lot more clean than that one data center.
In just 1 year, XAI has blown past existing polluters.
They're emitting somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 tons of NOx. I'm an air pollution guy, so I deal in those numbers all the time, and that's larger than anything else in Memphis.
Gas turbines like these release 3 main types of deadly pollution: nitrogen oxides, formaldehyde, and fine particulate matter. Nitrogen oxides combine with other pollutants to form ground-level ozone, which causes and worsens asthma and COPD. Formaldehyde causes cancer, and particulate matter, airborne soot, can pass through your lungs and into your bloodstream, causing heart disease.
We've shown up today because we've been to too many funerals. We've shown up today because we've cried too many tears. We've shown up here today because we're tired. And we have an expectation of the people that we elect and put into place. We expect them to do what is in our best interest. Not of Elon Musk. And what we're saying is that stops now.
In April, hundreds of people came to a high school in South Memphis to talk about XAI. In January, the company belatedly applied for a permit to operate 15 of its turbines for 5 years.
I'm going to invite a representative up from the applicant XAI, Mr. Brent Mayo.
That's the first time that XAI has publicly addressed the community in any way.
I understand, and I hear the statement, but again, XAI is committed to meeting the highest standard for emissions. XAI is going above and beyond the required emission control required. And to that, thank you very much for your time.
He immediately left after reading his script. It's extremely disrespectful.
It's time to start telling the truth. The truth is that XAI, who just ran up out of here, they have no controls that prevent air pollution or decrease air pollution in their factories. None. That's the truth.
To date, local and state authorities have taken no action against XAI. Running turbines without permits or pollution controls is also a violation of the Clean Air Act, which it's the EPA's job to enforce. But to date, the EPA has done nothing, and Elon Musk is doing what he can to keep it that way. Musk has helped the Trump administration place strict limits on the EPA's budget as part of President Trump's broader project to radically reshape the agency. Trump's EPA has begun what it calls the biggest deregulatory action in U.S. history.
To fulfill President Trump's promise to unleash American energy and give power back to the states.
It eliminated the EPA's office that assists heavily polluted communities like South Memphis and canceled billions of dollars of funding for addressing pollution.
So you've slashed already $22 billion in grants, but you used Doge, if I'm not mistaken, to take down your head count?
It's been great. The people working on the Doge mission are EPA employees. What they provide to me are recommendations. I have found that working with Elon and Doge has been fantastic, a big help to our efforts.
In March, the EPA announced plans to roll back over 30 air and water quality standards, including protections against fine particulate matter. The new head of the agency describes promoting the AI industry as a core part of the EPA's mission.
It's about unleashing energy dominance, making America the AI capital of the world. And the EPA can't be restrictive of that. We can't be suffocating it.
Making America the world's AI capital means prioritizing a massive expansion of data centers, and hundreds of them are now under construction.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Levi.
With Trump's EPA backing that effort, there may be little recourse for the communities downwind.
XAI comes from a culture of Silicon Valley. That culture is go fast and break stuff. Break them.
A week after this hearing, XAI announced it would reduce the number of turbines it's running at Colossus over the next 2 months, but it's also dramatically expanding.
I'm happy to announce that XAI is increasing their footprint.
It's building a second larger data center.
Oh yeah, we've already started work on the next cluster. Yeah, about 5 times the power.
Where its construction permit application indicates it's considering using between 40 and 90 gas turbines and enough electricity to power 40% of Memphis.
So we're not like stopping here.
In February, during an XAI product launch, Elon Musk gave the closest thing to a public explanation for what he's done in Memphis.
Well, we needed a building, so we found an Electrolux factory in Memphis. That's why it's in Memphis, home of Elvis. And also, I think it was the capital of ancient Egypt. Then we needed power, at least 120 megawatts at first, but the building only had 15 megawatts. So we initially leased a whole bunch of generators. So we have generators on one side of the building, trailer after trailer of generators, until we can get the utility power to come in. You know, it's like interesting. It's not like, oh, we just magically made it happen. You have to break down the problem, just like Grok does for reasoning.
XAI did not respond to questions for this report.
What's happening in Memphis, that is Elon's vision.
Mr. President, all systems activated.
Congratulations, Dr. Foreman. It's a marvelous achievement.
Thank you.
A technocracy, to be able to do whatever he wants, whatever he chooses, to experiment, to kill, to destroy the environment at the behest of his machines. What that will amount to is a plantation economy for the rest of the world. A desolate wasteland of data centers is to follow.
Thanks so much for watching our
There we go, more perfect union. Talking about the pollution that comes with it. I'll put it on a pile.
So Sheepdog, I put two links in the main comments there for movie trailers. They're 2.5 minutes each, and they'll tell this same story twice across a 15-year gap. In the regular comments, they go up. I isolated the links so they're easy to get to in the main chat.
Oh, you shared the links?
Yeah, if you go to the show, then the main comments, I put up another post stat about that. That's one of them. So there's two movie trailers that are sort of pertinent here and there. We do not claim YouTube. We are not saying whatever that we have to say to make sure that we don't get screwed with the copyright call. But these are both the trailers, the official trailers for these two movies. They're about 15 years apart. They're going to tell the same story twice that you just showed in our current narrative with Elon Musk as the bad guy.
Oh, shit. Or you want me to share those or something? Gandalf, is that what you're saying, or what? You did the call.
I think he wanted you to
Yeah,
show him.
if you could play them, because my bandwidth sucks. If you can play them, I think they might be a nice cherry on top to what you just showed. One of them is Silkwood, and the other one is Aaron Brockovich, and they're both in EPA involved. You know, and the end of the story here is that the big companies get hugely fined, but a very small percentage of that makes it down to the people who are actually injured. That's one of them. Yeah. It's all just still part of the same cycle. It's still a money laundering scheme where we, the people, get screwed.
Oh, I mean probed.
Probed.
We were invaded a long time ago. It's called probing.
Well, we all know that aliens travel millions of light years to this realm to look in people's asses. So yes, probing is correct.
Need the link over here to the right. If you could share it over here, wherever private chat. And then I can get it loaded. I wondered if that.
You got to scroll up in that right pane. Go over there. Now hit your go to the right. Now hit your up scrolly.
Hey, Sheepdog, if you go to the Roll Room Rumble page, you can just click on the link there.
I got it mixed out underneath. With
We'll slam doors around here. It's crazy. Where is it at? In the chat somewhere?
Yeah, scroll up.
And paste it, put it in the private chat, make this a little bit easier for me. I don't have to do all this scrolling and looking for a freaking link in the chat somewhere. We got StreamYard right here. You can just copy the whatever link you just put in the chat, just put it in the
Yeah,
private
let me see if I can copy it and put it in the private chat. Yep, I got it. I got it going in the private chat now.
So we do not own the rights to the. Okay, here's the clip. Aaron Brockovich, official trailer #1, Albert Finney movie from the year 2000. Does anybody remember this one?
You have no actual training.
I have kids. Learned a lot right there. Yeah, and I'm great with people. When I was first out of high school, I got married and had a kid too young. I'm extremely fast learner. You got a really nice office.
Look.
You want my number.
I do.
How about this for number 6? That's how old my daughter is. 8 is the age of my son. 2 is how many times I've been divorced. 16 is the number of dollars I have in my bank account.
I'm so glad we got that out of the way, because I didn't find you attractive either.
Then we're even. I'm smart, I'm hardworking, and I'll do anything, and I'm not leaving here without a job. Don't make me beg.
In a law firm, you may want to rethink your wardrobe a little.
Well, as long as I have one ass instead of 2, I'll wear what I like, if that's all right with you. You might want to rethink those ties. Why are there medical records and blood samples in real estate files? Would you mind if I investigate this a little further?
What makes you think you can just walk in there and find what we need?
They're called boobs, Ed. Can I just...
Yeah, just... Hexavalent chromium.
can be very harmful.
So it kills people.
Oh, yeah.
You're a lawyer? Hell no. I hate lawyers. I just work for them.
We're going to have to spend a little time filling in the holes in your research.
Don't talk to me like I'm an idiot, okay?
I think we got off on the wrong foot here.
That's all you got, lady. 2 wrong feet and ugly shoes.
You gotta find a different job or a different guy.
For the first time in my life, I got people respecting me. Please don't ask me to give it up.
You're emotional. You're erratic. You make this personal, and it isn't.
That is my work, my sweat, my time away from my kids. If that's not personal, I don't know what is.
We're gonna get them, Aaron, aren't we?
They're all signed. Every single one.
How did you do this?
Seeing as how I have no brains or legal expertise, I just went out there and performed 634 sexual favors. I'm really quite tired.
$20 million is more money than these people have ever dreamed of.
These people don't dream about being rich. They dream about being able to watch their kids swim in a pool without worrying that they'll have to have a hysterectomy at the age of 20. By the way, we had that water brought in special for you folks.
Yeah, that was Flint, wasn't it? Right? And then that also goes to Ohio.
That's a good movie.
Yep.
Well, it's a narrative shift. So this movie brings forward a narrative where the only person that can really come against the big machine of the EPA is a single struggling mother who works for a duped rich white guy. So that's part of the narrative. The Silkwood trailer, if we have that one, is another version of the same story. And what the narrative overlay here is that you can't fight the big system. People die. Corporations have to succeed. This is the same thing we just heard with the X and the Elon shit. That's it right there. Great pull sheet. Well done.
On November 13th, 1974, Karen Silkwood, an employee at an Oklahoma nuclear facility, was on her way to meet with a reporter from the New York Times. She never got there.
Name? Karen Silkwood.
Drew Stevens.
Dolly Pellicker.
Sweet the sound that saved.
Sweethearts like your 2 people. I'm in love with one of them.
I love you, Karen. Was lost, but now I'm found. Was bound, but now I'm free.
What about the radiation effects from all this material?
We've all seen the poor guy suffering the effects of sunburn. Well, radiation's like that.
There was a contamination in our section. They're saying that you did it.
I just hate people talking about me that way.
Karen, the company's got to blame somebody, otherwise it's their fault.
Sounds like they're trying to get rid of you.
I wish I could take care of you, but
I'm doing something good.
I know what you're doing. You're the wrong person to be doing it. I was just thinking, if you'd ever quit, come away with me.
I can't quit now.
What are you doing in there?
I'm so scared now. They're trying to kill me.
No news stories.
Nothing new under the sun.
Hey, Sheep, are you going to touch on the NBA thing today?
was hoping you wanted to talk about the Super Bowl halftime show.
So I love this story, the narrative deployment of a division. Remember, this divisions. You can't be trans across divisions. Oh, wait, you can. Now, all the corners are covered here in this triangle. So the new division tactic is I'm going to watch the Super Bowl just so I can see who shows up at halftime. Oh my gosh, it's so stupid.
No, did you want to talk about the NBA thing, or was that?
No, I quit following the NBA quite some time ago. But I played and coached basketball at a lot of levels, so I just find it interesting that the disclosure of the rigged sporting market is, of course, around gambling, which is a massive laundering operation in every form, right? The house always wins. And that it's shown that there's inside. So I remember back in the 70s when Pete Rose was vilified for betting on his own team. And from what I'm hearing, I haven't really read much about it. I've been away from the web most of the day, but it looks like the NBA is the first point of disclosure that every single major sport is rigged. And that's the message that I don't know if you guys touched on that today in your Telegram universe or not.
Oh no, I don't even think we mentioned it. Because we weren't. I guess it wasn't breaking news at the moment or something. I just think it's another distraction for the Epstein time. That's all. That was a joke.
Where's your sound effects at, dear sheep?
The only sound effect for the Epstein thing is wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, and all those major league teams, I don't care what sport you're talking about, that's all big corporation stuff. It's all going down the tubes. It's amazing to watch all of this happening and see how they do. They keep surprising us with this, but they're making it all happen. But they keep surprising us with, I didn't expect the NBA to be, forefront in the news today, but there it is.
Oh, okay, Z, let me throw this at you. So what if the dominoes that needed to fall, the first big domino that falls in this collapse of media, because you're in the media business, you're a content producer. All of us here are content producers, and we're competing with that environment. So what is one of the big things that runs big sports? It's big media and big advertising, right? So what are the three major things that are advertised? I watch a little bit of commercial television, unfortunately, and it's big pharma, gambling sites, and insurance companies, and then banks.
And the spirit of alcohol.
Yeah, yes. Well, even those I don't get. We get look. Lucinda goes and searches for stuff on the internet, and suddenly we're a lot of holistic healing stuff, and we get covered up with pharma ads. So the last cigarette advertisement was in March of 1971. That's when you couldn't do pharma ads, and there's only 2 countries left out of the 209 Antarctic treaties countries, the real big list, that allow pharma advertising, and that's New Zealand and the United States. So when the pharma stops, the MSM fails, and big sports only have gambling as a baseline. And today, the disclosure is that it's all rigged and gambling is rigged. So that's number 1 and number 2 revenue streams for the mainstream media and big sports indexing, which is called gambling. That if those 2 fail, I don't think they can survive. And then we, the media, emerge. I love that narrative.
Yeah, and bringing trafficking into the mix with all of this is just awakening a lot of people. I really haven't talked to anybody today except for you folks, but it's got to. I mean, how many times has that happened over the last 5 or 6 years where we say, well, this ought to wake everybody up, but it doesn't seem to. I mean, they hit every demographic of humanity with these takedowns, and I thought Ukraine would be the linchpin, but no, everything just kept flowing. And so now now we're getting into NBA. Of course, everybody's saying, I hope the NFL is next or whatever. And we've all known this for a long time, but we shall see, I guess.
So there's a Kim Clement prophecy that says that Halloween is the tipping point event. That's when the massive scare event and the massive Jubilee event happen within a short number of hours, because the universe can't deal with the truth. And I don't know, are we within a fortnight of that? I know we are. So I don't often call dates. I don't think I've called a date in probably a year and a half. But I think Halloween is going to be a pivot event. And then the Super Bowl is traditionally the largest daily trafficking event in the realm. So, and those are going to be, they pushed the Super Bowl to January something, I think. But so I think you're on target there, Z.
Well, to follow up what Z was saying, which made me think, because of where we are right now. Now that this, as another quote unquote distraction from the Epstein files and another quote unquote way to try to wake people up, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think this is another way to spark division across the country, because I think what's going to come out of this is I'm going to go ahead and say it, and I'm not this type of person, but I am pretty observant of another way for the white man to hold the melanated man down and incriminate him for something that everybody else gets away with.
Gotta ask yourself why now. They've been doing it for decades.
Well, but now is an opportune time to even more, with everything going on in the country, to throw more division, more unruliness, and, as you said earlier, more distraction away from the Epstein, as you said, the Epstein's time, to distract us, to pull us away from those type of topics that are more interested to the country than stuff that's been going on in professional sports for over 100 years. But I think it's another just coordinated effort to just distract us, to cause more division, more ununity of people. And that's just my opinion.
It's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's why I asked, why are they showing us this now? It's been going on for decades, and then the timing and everything like that is kind of suspect, and but again, it does. I mean, they're really talking about something that everybody kind of knew about, with the sports betting. So, I mean, it's a big thing on everybody's phones now. You can bet on sports from no matter where you're at right now on via your phone. So, but I get with the players and all that could bring into question the games and stuff like that. But like I said, the refs have been doing it in the '90s. Remember the one with the Michael?
So I watched this commercial 15 times a day at least. And if you go on the betting sites and you sign up as a new bettor, if you make a $5 bet and you win that bet, they give you $200 or $300 in betting dollars for a $5 in. It is a bait and switch. The gambling thing, that getting uncovered today, that actually gives me a little bit of hope that we might be winning this thing. Glendia says, remember the 5th of November. I just threw up that clip if you want to show it. But that's in the timeline coming very quickly. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a great poll, Glendia.
And that old saying, give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. And they are putting things into place where the circuses are being eliminated. I mean, I haven't watched a major league sports game, and I used to be a baseball fanatic, but I haven't watched a major league game of any kind in at least 3 years, probably 4 years. And I there is just simply no interest in it anymore. Because once you know that it's all rigged and the whole thing is a game, what possible good just to have something on a TV in the background? They don't call it programming for nothing. And so that whole give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. They're putting things in place so that we don't have to revolt. They're eliminating it just by eliminating the corporate structure of it through law, through the admiralty law that's been put in place. See, that's what this whole thing is doing. Is they're taking down the enemy using the enemy's own tools, and it's fantastical to watch. To each day brings a new revelation, and we are blessed beyond measure to be able to experience this and watch these dominoes fall, like you had said, Gandalf. It's great.
Yeah, because that of which they set up for us will be used against them. Because no weapon formed against us shall prosper.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's like that Esther moment, right?
That was one of my favorite books of the Bible. It was always read like a made-for-TV movie. Not that I'm endorsing TV.
All right, we're at the 2-hour mark. Y'all want to close out? Anybody else got anything they want to say before we close out?
I don't have any other input.
Before we close, can I close this out, Sheep? The last couple of days, we didn't do a show on Tuesday, and I'm always searching for stuff to try to bring to the table here. I am so thankful for this platform and this audience. And I spend my sunrise with big animals and small animals, and that time is in prayer. The first 11 minutes of sunrise is the best energy you can get every day. And since the shutdown, we've had a lot less chemtrails. There's been a lot better energy. And the thing that I have gotten as a feedback mechanism from my morning spiritual time, which happens before sunrise every day, I usually get up about 4 o'clock in the morning. On show days, I take a nap, which I would recommend, is that this coming season, this Halloween season, the flu season, the holiday season, it is all a rotation of something other than Jubilee. I skulk Sheepdog's posts, even though I'm not a member of Telegram. I tend to go look spots, and I see that this Jubilee calendar engagement is something that the Sheepdogs, who put a huge number of hours in here with their Telegram engagement and reposting all of that content, and I just don't have the energy for that. I gotta say, there's not a lot of new topics for me here, and I don't do dates. I don't like to talk about this is it, right? and I used to talk about this a lot. What's the real calendar of engagement? But I would say that the spiritual response that I have gotten in my prayer time, in my meditation time, is that now is the time to be ready. Even if you're just going to fortify your defenses a little bit, spend more time in meditation than scrolling. Clean up your diet a little bit. Give your defense structure a chance to thrive. The Clement prophecy, Kim Clement prophecy about the scare event at Halloween has just been resonating in my dream space. And so I would just say, gird up and be prepared and run your race, because I truly believe that we are in the last strokes of this battle. The narrative war is changing, and we are a part of that. So I would like to give encouragement here. Stand up, use your voice. My prayer every day is that my food is purified in such a way that it makes me better, faster, stronger, more vocal, that my voice carries. And this platform helps give me that voice. So I want to be thankful first. I want to be girded second. And I want to be offensive in the right way as often as possible. To offend the enemy is to win the war. And that's a narrative war. So I know the dogs have been stepping away to help improve their health here recently, and I appreciate that. So my closing statement is that I have an appreciation attitude, and that's the only place to live to really thrive in this environment. And I would beseech everyone within the sound of our voice as a team to stand on a truth that makes you smile, because you'll get a lot farther every day. Z will talk about the frequency of that smile, and Mr. and Mrs. Sheepdog will talk about the receipts for that smile, and Bird Love and Durenda will show us a video of a smiling animal. So I appreciate everybody here, and I thank you for your engagement. Thank you.
And just to coattail on that one, I will say this. We all know that Sheepdog has not been feeling that great this week. I just want to let you guys know that you guys have been in our thoughts and our prayers, especially for you and your mom and your family. So we want to reiterate that we're holding you up in thoughts and prayers and trying to encourage you guys as much as we can from whatever part of the realm that we're in and whatever part of the frequency we're in. We just want to send those to you as well. So we appreciate you guys, and I'm thankful that you guys are here with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's just having to reanalyze everything and what I'm facing with my mom and her health, and just having to come to grips with that. So I really appreciate everybody's support throughout this process, and we'll see y'all tomorrow unless anybody else has anything. Thank you, Mike, for saying that. Appreciate it. Thank you, Gandalf. Thank you, Z, Nadine.
Blessings, y'all.
God bless everybody. Godspeed. We'll see you on the other side.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great show, everybody. Thank you.
More room.
Good night, everybody.
We spoke our truths, we healed with sound, lifted each other, sacred and proud. Gifts exchanged, hearts aligned, row room family, one of a kind. Red Cardinal clan, wings in the sky. Chief bumps straight, it keeps the spirit high. Mama's love, our guiding flame. Sheepdog swap, where we honor our name. stars and the vibe is alive. We are the change, we thrive and we strive. Heaven on earth, we build and we grow. Carry the roar wherever you go. Take this life, take this song. You are the tribe, you belong. Speak your truth, let it bloom. You are forever or room. Thank you to all our guests, our tribe, our crew. To the viewers and listeners, this love is for you. Good night, everybody. Light, love, and truth. Knowledge in your pocket and rhythm in your boots.